Hello, my name is Tommy Castle, and this is my strategic innovation breakthrough project for my uh, topic of disc vinyl. So, getting into the presentation a little bit, the purpose of this presentation is to introduce my product, which is disc vinyl, a modernized version of the vinyl format that combines collectability, customization, and NFC technology. This innovation improves durability, usability while preserving the nostalgic vinyl experience and explains the concepts the customer needs and aligns with the long-term innovation strategies. Now, the problem with current vinyls is functionality. While they might seem appealing with their aesthetics and their ability to, be pretty adequate with current record players, they aren't as good as they should be, and they have a lot of different issues with them. The first thing is that current record and vinyl players are really, really, really expensive. I recently went to look for a vinyl cover for Michael Jackson's Thriller, and it was in the $50 range to over 100, depending on if you wanted it used or new. And that's a big issue, especially with vinyls that are older, because they don't seem to reproduce these vinyls because they're so old. Additionally, vinyls aren't customizable, and that's a big issue with the vinyls because you get both the songs you like and the songs you don't like with an album. Granted, it's an album that you probably like enough to get, but you don't have that customizable feature and the ability to listen to what you want when you want. Additionally, vinyls damage pretty easily and deteriorate over time, and it's been a product that hasn't technically evolved over the last few decades. You could argue that you went from vinyls to CDs to Spotify, electronic, all that type of evolution, but there's still an appeal for vinyls currently, and that's the big thing we want to talk about here is that Gen Z still holds value for the collection and experience of vinyls. Okay, it's been a rapid surge in the need for vinyls and popularity, especially because it's a tangible asset for people to collect. People love to collect things that they like. They love to surround themselves. And music is kind of hard to do that. Sure, you can get T-shirts, so you can get posters, but vinyls are pure, forms of music that people are able to like physically have and physically show off however they please. Additionally, they have that ability to play music. But like I said, this system hasn't been evolved and needs to be evolved, and it needs adaptation dramatically. Okay, the demand for vinyls is growing, even though the product is outdated as well. So, market opportunity. Vinyl sales are at an all-time high for the over 30 years. Okay, that's pretty good. It's an untapped and unchanged market, meaning that it's pretty vulnerable to someone to take it over and make changes as long as it adheres to what people value. Additionally, collectible culture is booming. Gen Z really likes, like I said, having tangible assets that they're able to collect and illustrate that they like something. And the functionality needs improvements. It's a product that hasn't changed in 40 years, 40 to 50 years. Okay, it can use some improvements and to make it not only cheaper, more reliable, but durable as well. And this little statistic that I really like is that the industry source claims that from 2016 to 2023, the U.S. saw enormous growth in vinyl album sales, rose from 13.1 million in 2016 to 49.6 million in 2023, roughly a 300% increase in that period. And that's a really good thing considering that, vinyls were pretty much dead throughout the early 2000s. So it means that there's a huge, huge market for this and that it's growing in the right direction of popularity. So that brings us to disc vinyls. So what is disc vinyls, you ask? Well, it is a customizable, collectible, and highly more functional product for vinyls. However, it differs in a few ways. This still possesses the same appeal of vinyls and record players, but it has a more cost-effective, reliable, and customizable function without the physical groove and deterioration of traditional vinyl players and record players. Now, how does disc work? And it's a pretty simple process. But to make it as simple as possible, It is basically the exact same thing as a regular and traditional disc player. Okay, you instead, the main difference is within the disc and the record player's ability to collect music. Within a traditional vinyl, it has the ridges within it to help bounce and create the sound waves that are amplified to then produce a sound. With disc vinyl, it is embedded with an NFC chip, which stands for near field communication, and it has everything that the vinyl needs to track what songs are on it and to play songs that are on that album instead of having to use the groove. Now, the benefit to using this is that NFC chips and the plastic is going to be a lot cheaper. Vinyl plastic is pretty expensive in itself, and NFC chips are just really easy to produce. They're highly accurate and they have low misreading percentages. Additionally, the player, so additionally, when you load on the chip will be on the disc. It's going to be the same exact look and appeal as a vinyl player, but when you put the disc on the record player, it doesn't play the exact same as a record player, if that makes sense. Hopefully that does. So it's still going to spin. It's still going to have that feature where you can put the needle on the disc, but the actual functionality comes in the middle of the disc, which has that NFC chip. And when you put that disc on to the record player, it analyzes all the code and it plays what you want to play. So there's no real need for the needle and groove. It's just for an appearance and an aesthetic appeal, which is what Gen Z loves. And it doesn't require any plug-in or outlet and is Bluetooth accessible. So people, like I said, people love the aesthetic. If people just want to have this for basically a speaker, they can do that as well. Now, getting towards how we reached this innovation and how we understood the problems with the traditional way of making disc and vinyls. Traditionally, vinyls are produced by a vinyl plastic, that is pressed into a hydraulic press, and it produces the ridges that you'll see in the right photo. Okay. And when it does this, the problem that you get with hydraulic press is that you're not able to change and customize it through the molds. It's expensive to change the molds and it's really ineffective to do. And so it doesn't have that customizable feature. It's expensive. And the big thing is that over time, when you keep stamping these vinyls, it loses its original molds. So over time, it becomes less and less accurate. It becomes less consistent. You get a worse quality of music per vinyl disc. As for the actual process of sound from the needle groove to the record player, the grooves are used as a track for the needle. As you spin, it goes from side to side, creating this vibration that goes from the groove to the cartridge area, which has a magnetic needle that goes up and down depending on the grooves. These magnetic signals act as the sound barrier that go through the tone arm and then go to the amplifier, which then can be produce louder sounds through electricity. So overall, this process, well, it does work. It's ineffective. It's expensive. It doesn't have the customability and the technology that it really needs to adapt to today's needs and wants. So getting into the more appeal and understanding of why people want to change and what people really want, we applied design think to help empathize with people. What is it that people really love about vinyl? Well, like I said throughout this entire presentation, they love the aesthetic appeal of simply having the tangible asset of a vinyl. Some people solely get vinyls to just have them. They don't even have a record player, yet they get them. And yet people still want the functionality of vinyls as well. So people want one of two things. They want the aesthetic appeal of the vinyl and they want the better functionality of the vinyl. Because vinyls right now, as I've been stating, are outdated and need to be changed. So now that we've empathized with people, we understand what the issue is. We understand that people want the aesthetic appeal. We understand they want a more functional, reliable, and cheaper product. Now, this is where the product of Dysc comes in. We ideate and we create the entire prototype for Dysc, which has that NFC chip, and we are able to test it and create what we have today, which is the disc vinyl. Now, the customer needs and desires, as I just stated, they want durability, customization, aesthetics, exclusivity, digital reliability, and cheapness. Okay. Now, the customer type and empathy insights. This is primarily for Gen Z, as I've been stating, but it applies to millennials as well because they are also in this, this gap of people who really appreciate and love the aesthetic and functionality of vinyls. Okay. Additionally, it is found that in 2024, a survey found that 94% of Gen Z and millennials said that they were interested in collectibles. People love to just collect things, especially music. Music is a key part of our everyday lives. We listen to music everywhere we go, and it just impacts us positively. And people love to have collectible ways that they're able to, show they like something, and vinyls are a great way to do that. Additionally, we adhere to autophiles seeking durability, artists and small record labels, and gift buyers as well. Now, innovation tools for the suite model. It breaks down the areas of social, workforce, economic, aesthetic, technological, and timing. So for the social aspect, it's vinyls have been on the surge, as I've been saying, but the vinyl culture is really, 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 really popular and prominent. And I think it's a lot because of that is because of how artistic and creative vinyls are. When you, in comparison to a CD disc, it's not pretty. Okay, it sure you get the same look and appeal like the Purple Rain cover, but it doesn't have that same massive vibe. The vinyl kind of acts like a poster in a sense. It shows that you like something in a big way, and you're able to functionally use it as well. So you're able to express yourself in a social setting. For workforce wise, it's a new way of manufacturing that helps make everything cheaper and more effective and easier to produce, and it allows artists to partnership as well. Additionally, in the economic sense, like I just said, it reduces costs and replaces, that issue of finding what you need and having to, deal with the high pressures of the cost. In the aesthetic sense, which is probably the most important, it's highly customizable for disc and it allows people to be more creatively free with what they want and what they're able to have. In a technological sense, NFCs have been around for the last 10 to 20 years. Okay, it's nothing new, but that's a good thing because it's something that is easy to use and it's reliable. Okay, people aren't gonna scrunch their nose and be like, "What is that?" Okay, the NFC product and model technically has is in our everyday lives, even if we do know it or not. And timing, this couldn't be a better time to do this because vinyls has reinsurged into society from a 30-year drought and has become a popular way to illustrate your love for music. Now, here's where we get into some of the issues we might have with our product. The biggest one that I see is the entry and adoption barrier. People are going to see this product and be like, why do I need this? Why would I already have a record player. I already have the vinyls, why would I need that? So to that, I argue that our product is not only the same thing, sure, it's the same thing, but it's something that has more functionality and is cheaper. Now, people might argue that I just simply buy vinyls for the aesthetic appeal. And that's what a lot of people do because in this quote, it says 50% of consumers who have bought vinyls in the past 12 months are own a record player, meaning that 50%, the other 50% are people who don't own record players and simply get it for the aesthetic appeal. Now, why would you buy our product over, a vintage vinyl set? Well, because we are a cheaper version of that. Okay. If you want the same thing, just the same appeal, it's a lot better to do it if it's cheaper. Okay. And it has a better functionality as well. Some people might argue the tech failure. NFCs might not be a reliable new technology, but it's existed and it's proven itself over the past 10 to 20 years, like I said. And it's a product that enables embedded offline options. It has Bluetooth, and it's a lot more accurate and sustainable. Additionally, another issue is that artists might hesitate to flock towards it. They might, think that this is a new, unproven product, kind of like, in the opposite sense of NFCs, but able to inhibit, that sort of mentality. We're gonna make artists really, capably free to customize how they want to represent themselves through disc vinyls. So they're going to have that freedom to be who they want to be and how they want to listen to and express themselves to their audience. Additionally, we're going to provide revenue incentives to help to promote our products. Now, traps of innovation. Now, to overcome, functional fixedness of people who aren't ready to change, well, we do this by refining vinyl as a digital activation disc instead of limiting its groove-based audio playback. Additionally, we got to deal with the expert trap by questioning long-term standing assumptions that vinyl must remain analog and cannot integrate into modern technology. You got to be able to change, you got to be able to adapt, and it's something that people are probably going to be willing to learn, especially with Generation Z, who's all about adapting and becoming new with technology. The millennials, on the other hand, might struggle in the beginning, as they might not be as technology advanced, technology acceptable. But Gen Z is a group of people, a generation of people that is really into the modernization of any type of technology. Additionally, we got to avoid confirmation bias by recognizing that Gen Z buyers prioritize collectability, aesthetics, and customization over traditional analog listening. Like I said earlier, vinyl is the same as it has the same exact aesthetic appealing. It just works slightly different, but it's better in almost every single way in price, functionality, durability, customization, all those different aspects. It's better in. And lastly, resource mythopia and identifying that NFC chips are technology that is accessible, low cost solutions to modernize vinyl without complex innovations. Now, creativity connections that we use three different models. The superhero model is something that sees through the hidden possibilities and breaks the common assumptions of vinyls. It breaks the assumptions that we have to keep the way that it is because it works. It doesn't have to be that way. It can be a lot easier. We can transform these limitations into strengths, and that's simply what we do. We break free from the grooves and the damages that are accrue over time. We break free from the depreciation to make our product more reliable and durable. Additionally, it makes everything cheaper and better as a whole and enables customization so people can express themselves and be able to do whatever they want whenever they want instead of having to be limited to what they have. Additionally, within the draft framework, we're able to have the big picture. What do people like about, the big, you know, buzz of vinyls? It's the aesthetic and the functionality. People love tangible assets. However, what are the issues with these products? Well, like I said, there are a lot of rooted issues on the ground level. Functionality, customizability, the expenses, you know, all these different things are real problems that people have at the lowest level possible, and enable us to realize how we need to enable ourselves to build a product that answers these problems instead of ignores them. And that's simply what Dysc does. Additionally, the Apollo 13 helps understand the pressures from a product such as Dysc. And people might put pressure on this simple innovation because it is simple and it's a product that uses a NFC chip that isn't something crazy. It isn't some unrealistic technological chip. It's something that's proven themselves, and so people might have a hard time dealing with that. Additionally, the biggest pressure is going to come from change. Vinyls have stayed the same for the past like 40 to 50 years. Okay, there's going to be some sort of pressure from changing something that's never changed in a sense. Additionally, it keeps the good and gets rid of the bads, okay? And it solves vinyl's biggest issue, which is functionality. And so, a second, it leads us to the strategic alignment, okay? Why enter this business? Why worry about this topic? Why worry about this product? Okay, this product is going to be an innovation leader. Like I just stated, vinyls haven't been tapped into for the last 30, 40 years, and it's had this recent insurge of popularity, and no one is taking a hold of it. This is a perfect opportunity for not only adapting and innovating in the right direction and capitalizing on this popularity, but being able to collect the new revenue streams and be able to do things like limited edition vinyls, artist partnerships, character-based vinyl series, collectible drops, and customizable designs. Additionally, it's a new market technically because Gen Z is the people, it's new to them in a sense. They didn't grow up with vinyls, and yet they are loving vinyls because of their aesthetic appearance, the identity expression, the collectability, and the personalization of our product. Additionally, there is an expansion into digital physical hybrid products. Like I've been saying throughout this entire presentation, people love to have the physical version of things. And vinyls are a great way for people to illustrate that they like something, especially in the form of music. Additionally, there's going to be low brand competitiveness. Okay, the brands that have been in this market for the past 30, 40 years have been asleep. Okay, they aren't ready for this. Additionally, there's not going to be anybody innovating into the surge of popularity. And that we're not going to stop here with our innovations, okay? We're going to have a lot more different features with app integration, digital playlists, interactive album art, and artist driven digital content. And so, in conclusion, disc vinyl is revolutionizing the way people feel, see, and experience the vinyl market. We are updating the core fundamentals in a positive way while keeping everything that people liked. We fix the fundamental issues, the functional issues, and we keep everything that people like with the aesthetic appearance, the functionality of the spinning, rotating disc, and the needle as well. And we have a massive potential for collectability. Okay, people love to have collectible tangents or tangible assets, and vinyls are a great way for people to collect things and produce a revenue for us as well. And it strategically aligns with that idea as well to produce money and over time innovate in ways that collects more attention and more revenue as well in different areas. And it's a very feasible with very feasible, innovation. It's not something that's crazy. It's not something that's mind blowing. It's simple, reliable, and easy to use with current technology and popularity. Lastly, the reflection portion. The biggest thing that I've learned throughout not only this course, but especially this project, is to change your point of view and to put yourself in the shoes of other people. And the main benefit from this is you're able to see things in a different light and you're able to understand, experience, and empathize with people. So, whether that's understanding why people act the way they do, what decisions they make, and how, they feel, it helps me gain a better understanding of how, you know, to change, how to understand, and how to be a better version and make a better version of not only maybe yourself, but of things as well. Especially within this project, I chose this product and this topic because I was in the shoes of the customer. I love vinyls. I love collecting them, but I experienced a lot of the issues of vinyls. They're expensive, they're not reliable, they're not durable, they have a lot of different issues. So, that was the main focal point of not only this topic, but this course was putting myself in a different pair of shoes and understanding and experiencing and empathizing with what happens from a different perspective. But uh, yeah, that's pretty much it. And this is my references. Thank you.